guys, welcome back to my channel. I know that you have been waiting for this video from last week, but it is here today. So as promised, I'm going to go through items 26 to 60, and these items focus on the comprehension aspect of the exam. Now, if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn post notifications on so that you won't miss another upload. Also like, comment, and share everywhere. Now let's dive right into this video. Items 26 to 33. Instructions. Read the following poem carefully and then answer items 26 to 33 on the basis of what is stated or implied. Flowers by Dennis Craig. I have never learned the names of flowers. From beginning, my world has been a place of potholed streets, where thick, sluggish gutters race in slow time, away from garbage heaps and sewers, past balanced old houses around which cowers stagnant earth. There, scarce green things grew to chase the dull gray squalor of sick dust. No trace of plant save few sparse weeds, just these, no flowers. One day, they cleared a space and made a park there in the city's slums, and suddenly came stark glory like lightning in the dark, while perfume and dark petals thundered slowly. I learned no names, but hue, shape, and scent mark my mind, even now, with symbols holy. This is a very beautiful poem about flowers. It is a Petrarchan sonnet, and in the first 8 lines of the poem, we can see the writer really presenting a picture of squalor, untidiness, dullness, and lack of beauty, a place you would not want to live. And this is made evident through the images such as potholed streets, sluggish gutters, stagnant earth, dull gray squalor, sick dust, scarce green thing grew, no trace of plant, no flowers. The sestet, or the last 6 lines of the poem, on the other hand, presents a picture which is completely opposite. It describes a place of beauty, life, vividness, and color. This is brought out through images such as stark glory, like lightning in the dark, perfume, bright petals, and symbols holy. The contrast between these two pictures is quite evident, and it helps the reader to relate to the poet's feelings and ideas which he wishes to share. Now let's get into answering these questions. Question 26. The speaker in the poem is A. A child playing, B. An adult dreaming, C. A child remembering, or D. An adult remembering. The speaker in the poem is an adult remembering. It is relayed based on the perspective of the poet Dennis Craig. So the answer is D. Question 27. How does the speaker feel about flowers? A. Awed, B. Indifferent, C. Enamored, or D. Appreciative. The speaker feels awed. We can see that the poet's attitude changes, where some light, color, and happiness is found as things change and the flowers begin to reveal themselves. So this is brought out through the following images: stark glory, like lightning in the dark, perfume, bright petals, and symbols holy. Question 28. The mood of stanza 1 of the poem is A. Bleak, B. Lonely, C. Bland, or D. Desolate. The mood in stanza 1 of the poem is bleak. Stanza 1 presents a picture of squalor, untidiness, dullness, and lack of beauty, a place you would not want to live. This is made evident through images such as potholed streets, sluggish gutters, stagnant earth, dull grey squalor, and the list goes on. Question 29. What is the speaker's attitude to the environment in lines 2 to 8? Is it A, bitter, B, acceptance, C, contentment, or D, contemplative? The speaker's attitude towards the environment in lines 2 to 8 is bitter. He does not like how the environment looks. Question 30. What device is used in line 11 to describe the park? Is it A, simile, B, metaphor, C, oxymoron, or D, personification? The device used in line 11 to describe the park is a simile. Came stark glory like lightning in the dark. The poet compares the beauty of the flowers to the beauty of light in a dark place. Question 31. The use of stark glory, line 11, best suggests that the flowers 1. Stimulated the speaker with their beauty, 2. Had a religious significance to the speaker, 3. Amazed the speaker with the difference they made. So is it A, 1 and 2 only, B, 1 and 3 only, C, 2 and 3 only, or D, 1, 2, and 3? The use of stark glory, line 11, best suggests that the flowers 1. Stimulated the speaker with their beauty, and 3. Amazed the speaker with the difference they made. So your answer is B. Question 32. The device used in line 12 compares the beauty of the flowers to A, light, B, storms, C, thunder, or D, lightning. The answer is C, thunder. Question 33. Which of the following best describes the theme of the poem? Is it A, nature is a vital part of human life, B, the impact of nature is positive and deep, C, the names of the plants are unimportant, or D, nature, specifically parks, should be introduced in all slums? The best option, which describes the theme, is the impact of nature is positive and deep. Moving on to the next comprehension passage, items 34 to 41. Instructions. Read the following extract carefully and then answer items 34 to 41 on the basis of what is stated or implied. The title of this passage is View from the Terrace. A terrace is a sloping land which is formed into a number of levels of flat areas resembling a series of steps, similar to the one in this picture. Marcus wheeled himself out of his accustomed place at the table on the terrace, and the sight struck him immediately. How could it not? It was an abomination, a desecration, a heresy, a sight unbelievable. There was a house on the hillside, his hill, the one which overlooked the village and which his terrace faced. It was a small house, to be sure. He estimated it to be no more than 20 feet by 12, with one door and one window on the long side which faced him. From the distance, it was no more than a doll's house, or what a child might draw, a wooden hut, similar to those which sprung up daily in the squatter settlements, which everywhere littered the hillsides, ringing the city. visible evidence of society out of control. But his hillside wasn't a squatter settlement, and no other house marred his view. His house sat on a slight rise above the village in the valley, and from there he had an uninterrupted view of the mountains on all sides. Far away there were houses, proper ones that is, but none close enough to mar his vision. It had never occurred to him that the hillside he grazed at every day would ever be defaced with human habitation. It was so steep and inhospitable. Few trees grew on it, except for the occasional clump of mangoes. It was mostly covered with grass, which burned every year in the dry months, and agaves, which from time to time flowered yellow. Halfway up the hill and directly in front of his favorite seat on the terrace was the only tree of any size, and this was a silk cotton tree, which would one day become a giant. Year after year, he watched its progress as it shed its leaves in the winter months and turned a bright green in the spring. And now, immediately behind this tree, as if sheltering in its arms, someone had built a house on his hill. It wasn't really his hill, but who else was there to claim it? Who else had gazed at it 365 mornings every year for the past 12 years? So this extract is about a man whose name is Marcus, who lives in the valley, and he feels so entitled to the hillside that he does not want anybody to come and build any squatter settlements on his hillside. He claims the hillside to be his. He doesn't want anybody to come and live on the hillside and build these kind of squatter settlements because he believes that these housing arrangements are society out of control. So, because he had lived in the valley for so long, he believes that this hill is his, Now let's try to answer the questions. Question 34. Which word best describes the homeowner's attitude towards the hillside near his house? Is it A, angry, B, proud, C, pleased, or D, possessive? The word which best describes the homeowner's attitude towards the hillside near his house is possessive. Marcus feels entitled to the hillside. Question 35. The words struck him, line 2, suggests that to the homeowner, the sudden appearance of the squatter's house, A, stirred disgust at the nature of the home, B, awoke interest in how quickly it was built, C, aroused shock at the unexpected neighbor, or D, stimulated pain because of the loss of privacy and control. The word struck denotes shock. For example, you see something unexpected and say that it hit you right in the face. So this old squatter settlement hit Marcus right in the face. So, struck him in line 2 suggests to the homeowner that the sudden appearance of the squatter's house aroused shock at the unexpected neighbor. Question 36. The phrase sat on, line 9, tells us that the house is A, set into the hillside, B, comfortably situated, C, precariously located, or D, placed directly on the hill. The phrase sat on tells us that the house is comfortably situated. Question 37. Which of the following did the homeowner believe gave him the right to claim the hill? Is it A, its proximity to his home, B, it was not easily accessible, C, the length of time he lived there, or D, no one had moved in for some time? The homeowner believed that the length of time he lived there gave him the right to claim the hill. Question 38. The word littered, line 7, suggests that the homeowner believes that squatter settlements are A. an eyesore, B. unique to his area, C. a necessary part of life, or D. a legitimate solution to the housing problem. The answer is A. an eyesore. Squatter settlements are poorly made housing developments, and the homeowner believes this is painful to look at. Question 39. Which of the following may be one of the homeowner's fears on seeing the house on the hillside? Is it A. the silk cotton tree would become gigantic, B. proper houses would be built on the hillside, C. the hillside would become a squatter's settlement, or D. littering would become a problem on the hillside? So you know that squatters' settlements are a big turn off for the homeowner. So one of the homeowner's fears on seeing the house on the hillside is that it would become a squatter's settlement. He views these types of settlements as a society out of control. Question 40. The repetition of his hill, lines 3 and 20 by the narrator. A. displays the depth of his disgust. B. shows how persistent his shock was. C. presents the homeowner's stubbornness. Or D. emphasizes the passion behind his attitude. The repetition of his hill, lines 3 to 20 by the narrator, emphasizes the passion behind his attitude. He wants to show that Marcus feels entitled to the hill. Question 41. Which words best sum up the homeowner's view of squatters' settlement? Is it A. sprung up daily, B. society out of control, C. marred his vision, or D. houses proper ones? The obvious choice for this one is B. society out of control. This is how Marcus views squatters' settlement. Moving on to the next comprehension, items 42 to 49. Instructions: read the following passage carefully and then answer items 42 to 49 on the basis of what is stated or implied. When the traditional family unit is discussed, it is usually in terms of the external social changes that are threatening its existence as an institution. Little thought is given to the internal problems of normal homes. The central problem for most family members is, of course, how to get along with each other. This internal matter is not without its external implications, for only where there are orderly and peaceful families can there be an orderly and peaceful society. Of all the social changes that have affected the family in recent years, by far the most significant has been the increase in the number of mothers of school-age children who have taken outside employment. In Canada, some 75% of women in this category now have full-time or part-time jobs. For the most part, economic imperatives have left women no choice but to work for money. An income sufficient to maintain an average family style took one Canadian 48 hours a week to earn in the 1950s. It takes two people 65 to 75 hours a week to earn that income today. The conflicts between work and family life and scarcity of time to devote to children have taken a personal toll on women in the form of stress and depression. Obviously, individuals under stress are harder to deal with than those who are not, so the tensions of work are carried over into the tensions in mother-child relationships. Men, too, report feeling stressed out and squeezed between work and family obligations. Males raised in the tradition of mothers doing everything in the home are inclined to be lax in doing housework and awkward in the unaccustomed role of actively nurturing children. But if a two-income family is to run smoothly and fairly, the household workload must be shared. Another profound change in family relationships lies in the relatively high incidence of divorce and marital separations in Western society. The fact that so many couples feel they must go their separate ways illustrates just how difficult it is for people to live together satisfactorily at the best of times. So this passage is about family life and the problems associated with it. Now let's get right into answering the questions. Question 42. According to paragraph 1, lines 1 to 5, which of the following results from conflict between family members? Is it A, disorder in societies, B, anxiety in the workplace, C, disruptive behavior in homes, or D, high levels of tension between parents? According to paragraph 1, lines 1 to 5, disorder in societies result from conflict between family members. The writer states that this internal matter is not without its external implications. That is, we cannot have an orderly or peaceful society if families are constantly in conflict. So your answer is A. Question 43. According to the passage, all of the following threaten the existence of the family except A, the high divorce rate in Western society, B, conflicts between employers and working parents, C, problems family members experience in getting along, or D, the increase in the number of mothers of school-age children. According to the passage, the only thing that does not threaten the existence of the family is conflicts between employers and working parents. Question 44. The word that is closest in meaning to imperatives, line 9, is A, matters, B, demands, C, concerns, or D, guidelines. The word imperatives means of vital importance or crucial. So the word that we are looking for means necessity. We cannot live without it. Matters means concerns or issues. Demands means needs or requirements. Concerns means interest or matters. And guidelines means ground rules or instructions. So based on these definitions, the most suitable answer is B, demands. Question 45. In paragraph 2, lines 6 to 12, the writer compares income in the 1950s to income today to show that A, people today work longer hours for the same pay as in the 1950s. B, people earned more in the 1950s than today. C, people today do not work as hard as people in the 1950s. Or D, a single income cannot adequately support an average family. The writer compares income in the 1950s to income today to show that a single income cannot adequately support an average family. The writer states in lines 6 to 12 that a number of mothers of school-age children have to seek employment. This is due to the fact that the father's income is not sufficient. The writer states that the income constraints or demands left women no choice but to work for money. Question 46. The writer suggests in lines 12 to 15 that tensions in mother-child relationships can occur because mothers, 1, are dealing with the stress of work, 2, are unable to help children who are under stress, 3, lack sufficient time to care for children. So, the answer options are A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, 1 and 3 only, or D, 2 and 3 only. The writer suggests in lines 12 to 15 that tensions in mother-child relationships can occur because mothers are dealing with the stress of work and lack sufficient time to care for children. So the answer is C, 1 and 3 only. Question 47. The writer's main purpose is to A, focus on the problems experienced by men, B, reveal the problems experienced by men, women, and children, C, highlight some of the internal problems threatening the family, or D, show that single income families function better than two income families. The writer's main purpose is to highlight some of the internal problems threatening the family. Some of these problems are financial constraints, conflicts, mothers having to go out to work because the father's income is insufficient, divorce, and work not being shared properly. Question 48. Couples feel they must go their separate ways, line 23, because of A, high divorce rates, B, inability to live harmoniously, C, difficulty in Western societies, or D, changes in relations in good times. Couples feel they must go their separate ways because of inability to live harmoniously. In the last sentence of the extract, the writer states that the fact that so many couples feel they must go their separate ways illustrates just how difficult it is for people to live satisfactorily together at the best of times, so they cannot live harmoniously together. Question 49. The tone of the passage may be best described as A, mocking, B, indignant, C, analytical, or D, complaining. Tone is the attitude of the writer towards a subject, and this is conveyed through choice of words and viewpoint. So the word mocking means rude, indignant means angry, analytical means examining or explanatory, and complaining means grumbling. So we can safely say that the tone of the passage is analytical because the writer is examining or explaining problems that families face. Items 50 to 54. Instructions. Read the following advertisement carefully and then answer items 50 to 54 on the basis of what is stated or implied. The tours we offer are truly unique and very much off the beaten track. We take you into the country to experience the historical, cultural, and breathtaking scenic highlights of the island. Our rich heritage in farming over the centuries has produced grand plantation mansions surrounded by picturesque little copses with stately royal palms swaying majestically in the easterly trade winds. The neat sugarcane fields sweep down the rolling hills towards the wild east coast, where miles of untouched beaches are graced with the backdrop of rugged cliffs and the giant breakers of the Atlantic crashing ashore. At Island Outdoor Tours, the choice is yours. Whether you're the adventurous type or you prefer a more laid-back tour, just give us a call and let us advise you. Question 50. The advertisement was most likely taken from A. Newspaper, B. Geography text, C. Tourism brochure, or D. Naturalist magazine. The advertisement was most likely taken from a tourism brochure. So what is being advertised? They are advertising island outdoor tours, so they are offering tours to tourists. Question 51. Which of the following is nearest in meaning to off the beaten track in line 1? A. Unpaved trails, B. Into the wilderness, C. Through dense vegetation, or D. Along routes not regularly traversed. Off the beaten track means along routes not regularly traversed or traveled. So what this means is that it is along routes that people do not normally travel, like a little turn off. Yes. Question 52. Which of the following does the advertisement promise? 1. Scenic beauty, 2. Sedate enjoyment, 3. Outdoor adventure. So is it A. 1 and 2 only, B. 1 and 3 only, C. 2 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2 and 3? The advertisement promised all of the following items: scenic beauty, sedate enjoyment, and outdoor adventure. So the answer is D. Question 53. The phrase, "the neat sugarcane fields sweep down the rolling hills," line 5, contains an example of A. Contrast, B. Repetition, C. Metaphor, or D. Specific reference. The phrase contains an example of contrast. So there is a contrast between neat sugarcane fields and rolling hills. Rolling hills are slopey and rugged and not necessarily neat. Question 54. The advertisement seeks to persuade the reader through the use of A. Imagery, B. Suspense, C. Alliteration, or D. Exaggeration. The advertisement seeks to persuade the reader mainly through the use of imagery. This is seen in images such as off the beaten track, grand plantation mansion surrounded by picturesque little copses with stately palm trees swaying majestically, untouched beaches graced with the backdrop of rugged cliffs. So those are examples of imageries. Items 55 to 60. Instructions. Read the following advertisement carefully and then answer items 55 to 60 on the basis of what is stated or implied. This is an advertisement that I had gone through on the 2015 paper. If you want to hear a proper reading of it, you can always go and watch that video. I'll link the card above. So let's get into answering these questions quickly. Question 55. One fact contained in the advertisement is A. The price of the product, B. Expert approval of acne begone, C. The product's popularity and effectiveness, or D. That stores everywhere are selling the product. A fact is anything that can be proven, and we can always prove the price of the product. So the answer for this item is A. Question 56. To whom is the product mainly targeted? Is it A, people who suffer with acne, B, ambitious people with money, C, girls who want dates for graduation, or D, people who lack confidence because of their appearance? The answer is A, people who suffer with acne. Question 57. Which of the following techniques are used to persuade in this advertisement? 1. Financial enticement. 2. Showing off the container. 3. Appeal to fears and desires. The answer options are A. 1 and 2 only, B. 1 and 3 only, C. 2 and 3 only, and D. 1, 2, and 3. The advertisement makes use of all three techniques, so the answer is D. 1, 2, and 3. Question 58. A language device used in the advertisement to persuade is A. Paradox, B. Metaphor, C. Hyperbole, or D. Rhetorical questions. A language device used in the advertisement to persuade is rhetorical questions. For example, do you want to clear all unsightly blemishes? Do you want your confidence back? Do you want a date for graduation? All of these are examples of rhetorical questions. Question 59. What might be the purpose of the size of the font used to describe the side effects? Is it A, it hides the possible consequences of using the product? B, it suggests that the side effects are minor? C, it misdirects the reader and leads to erroneous conclusions about acne? Or D, it demonstrates that the problems are minor in comparison to the benefits? The purpose of the size of the font used to describe the side effects shows that the side effects are minor, so the answer is B. And now for the final question, question 60. The words "while stocks last" under the checked price most likely would have the effect of A, enticing the customer to save money, B, persuading the reader to buy the product quickly, C, prompting Caribbean people to go in search of the product, or D, fooling the prospective buyer into thinking he or she needs the product. The phrase "while stocks last" is a paid advertising technique used by many businesses. In this case, the product is the bait and the customers would be like the fish. What a bait does is fool the fish into thinking that the food he sees he needs, so he goes for it. It's the same thing with the product. You think you need it, and that is why you go out and buy it. So that is why our answer is D, fooling the prospective buyer into thinking he or she needs the product. We have come to the end of the presentation. I do hope that you got most, if not all of these correct. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment down below, and subscribe. Bye.